Welcome to TTM Cast, your sports collectibles podcast, sponsored by SportsCollectorsDaily.com. If it happens in the hobby, you'll find it on SportsCollectorsDaily.com. And sponsored by GemRate.com. The latest grading statistic from the 4 major grading companies is just a click away. Visit GemRate.com. It's free. And now, here's our host, Drew Pelto.
Well, hello, everybody. We're coming to you once again here with TTM Cast, your sports collectibles podcast. Place where we talk about TTM autographs, a little bit about cards and collecting in other areas and all that, and a whole lot of other things as well. We're in season number 7, episode number 15, our second monthly episode now, since we've moved into that. Coming to you here on June 1st with this nationally ranked sports collectibles podcast. I am Drew Pelto. I am coming to you here from North Texas, Dallas-Fort Worth area, and we're joined by our co-host, Arron Littleton. Arron, good to have you here, as always.
It's great to be here. I enjoyed a nice little few weeks off there, doing other stuff. But you're like, let's do the show, and I was like, oh, we do a show? Okay, well, let's do it then.
Yeah, it's a little weird because, I mean, like I said, this is the first time that we've had this much time off in between because last one's our first monthly episode after doing weekly for, multiple years up to this point. And so it's like, this is kind of a weird transition, but it works out. I kind of like having, some time off in between and all that and not sitting there every Saturday night going, oh my God, I haven't started the rundown yet. So now it's like, hey, now I can do that on Fridays. I can go, oh my God, I didn't start the rundown yet. So yeah, works out all right though. Anyways, looking at some sports stuff, of course, we're going to talk to Clemente Lisi a little bit later on about hockey, but the Stanley Cup Finals, we get Florida versus Edmonton again. Florida, of course, winning over Edmonton last year. Edmonton being, 4 or 5-time winners in their past. So, going to see a team who's already won at least one cup in their lifetime. But on the other side, in the NBA, Oklahoma City and Indiana, 2 teams that have been to the finals each once and lost those. So we're going to see a new champion, a team that's a first-time champ in the NBA. So kind of an interesting dichotomy going on right there.
Yeah, unfortunately, my poor Dallas Stars just can't get it done in the Western Conference Final, man. But yeah, congrats to Edmonton. But I think I have to be Team Florida, Team America for this one.
Canada hasn't won since '93, and they basically invented the sport. Come on, you got to let them have one once every 32 years or so.
I don't know. If it doesn't have to happen, then it doesn't have to happen.
Jeez, killing me. World, your Rangers and my Guardians both kind of underachieving a bit here so far at the 2-month point of the season right now. But yeah, a couple of underachievers in our favorite teams right now, both sitting in third place in their respective divisions. Though I got to say, the American League Central has been surprisingly tough. I mean, the Royals are sitting in 4th place, and they'll be in 2nd in either of the other American League divisions. So it's like, God, we're just, I guess, kind of running to quite the gauntlet here for Cleveland and the other Central teams there. So I don't know, but I mean, Rangers sitting in 3rd place right now as well there.
Yeah, if you would have told me in 2002 that the Rangers offense would be the problem and not the pitching, while I was sitting here watching a 14-15 game, I don't know that I would have believed you. But yeah, it's like that was Ranger baseball for most of my life. You can score 12 or 13 runs, you try not to give up 14. And so it's been an interesting tables turning into the Rangers' recent years, where the rotation is getting it done, but they look like they can't hit their way out of a wet paper sack.
Could be worse. Could be the Yankees losing 18-2 to the Dodgers. So there is that.
Yeah, indeed.
Rockies right now on pace to set a record of only 25 wins if this keeps up right now. I was looking at the standings the other day, and 9-41, I think it said, was their record, which is yikes. I mean, I feel bad for the Rockies fans there, but at the same time, I don't really feel too badly for them because, 2007 Cleveland should have beaten them, and yeah, it didn't happen because the Red Sox did things. But yeah, how many Rockies fans do you know, though? Because I got to tell you, I have lived 41 years, and I've met Rockies fans for the first time this year at spring training. I didn't know they existed before that.
You think it's some sort of government psyop? There's no real Rockies fans.
Yes.
It's like all the birds are cameras, and Rockies fans do not really exist.
And Finland doesn't exist either, according to one of those conspiracy theories. So yeah.
Oh, I haven't heard that one. That's interesting.
Oh, that's a fun one. I'll tell you about that one later on. I go into it for a while here, but then an hour later we still won't have gotten into the meat of the show. So I'll save that for later. But yeah, there's a theory that Finland doesn't exist. And if you're listening to the show, go and look it up somewhere because it's batshit insane. So yeah. Anyway, so this month, what have we been up to? A little bit of in-person graphing, which I'm sure you'll probably be mentioning in there too, because we hit pretty much all the same games just about in there. There's a couple that I did at least do one in Cleburne finally after insisting that screw this, I'm not going to be doing any of their games because they have upped their ticket price. You can't buy a lawn ticket in Cleburne now the way that you used to unless all of the regular seats have sold out. And I would love to know from any of our listeners, do any of you have that policy at your home ballpark? Because this is the first time I've ever heard of somebody doing it, and I've only heard of one other one since I mentioned it in a couple of Facebook groups. And a lot of people are like, this is indie ball, and they're doing that? My God, are they just asking to, give away fans and money when they could, get a lot more in for being able to keep their previous policy? But yeah, so Chris and I tried to go to a game, and we were told, no, you can't buy lawn tickets unless all the other tickets sell out. And I said, okay, well, how much is a regular ticket? And they said $21. And I'm like, I don't think I've ever spent more than $15 on a minor league game, so screw that. I'm out of here. I'm not going to pay this. The only reason we went to the one this past couple weeks ago there was they had an all-you-can-eat night. Thursday nights, all-you-can-eat on hot dogs, pretzels, and popcorn. And it's only $4 more for a seat than it is for regular seats. So I'm like, okay, $25 all-you-can-eat. That's kind of worth it then at that point. So if I do any more Cleburne games, they'll probably be all-you-can-eat nights. But did okay on the graphing there as well. So pretty reasonably happy at least with that. But I'm trying to think. Aside from that, I had a purchase recently from Perry Sports Legends. They're one of the companies that does some private signings that we occasionally will mention on here. But picked up, I believe it was a Tanner Roark that I needed for my 2021 Topps Heritage set. Got that for $5. It came in this week. And that's been about it. Getting some stuff ready to send out my paid TTMs here pretty soon. So I've got there's 4 Carlton Fisks I need to get done, a whole bunch of others there. But that's kind of the big one out of these. They'll be going out hopefully this week. So that's where I'm at right now. Aaron, how's your last few weeks here been?
Well, so obviously, yeah, we've been graphing quite a bit so far to start the season. Last week we did Midland, which was it was a thing that happened, and so a lot of their bigger guys with cards do not like to sign, and so that is what it is. But at least we were able to get a few, and Frisco Rough Riders team set came out, and so that helped my numbers a little bit. I'm still working on that, but next week I intend to do Springfield when they come in. That one I'm not sure if it's going to be Friday or Sunday yet that I'm going to do those, but yeah, because my car right now is in the shop, and I think about this. I got to drive it back with no power steering from Frisco 2 whole hours to Wichita Falls last weekend. So that was super fun. And so it's in the shop now. Hopefully it'll be out by Friday. I'd hope to go to the Springfield game in Frisco on Friday. We'll see what happens. But as far as my Michael Young collection, I did get a new nice one. And that is 2025 Panini Flawless. It's a double patch, very nice auto. It's kind of like pearlescent, accents on it, number to 25. And I am currently awaiting the 2014 Topps Vault 1/1 Michael Young cards. Have you seen those? They're like the proof that they use to make the card. It's got nothing on the back. It's just got a 1/1 sticker. I've got the 13 Topps Vault 1/1 as well. But other than that, it's been kind of slow. Otherwise, I'm getting ready to embark on the 2025 version of the Eternal Graphing Tour. We'll be going up to North Carolina and doing all of that. So most of my money is tied up in doing that. So it's been a little bit slow otherwise. But the other big news, and I don't know if you saw, because I don't think that we talked about it. But my team, the Gymnastics Sports Center Storm, the girls that I coach gymnastics, we actually, I guess it was about a week and a half ago, we won 2 state championships. So we won a state championship in two separate divisions. So that was pretty cool. So I thought I'd give them a shout out. One of the divisions, that's the 3rd year in a row we've won it. And so in the last 3 years, we've won 4 championships. So that's, I think, noteworthy, even though, probably most of our viewers don't follow gymnastics.
You may have a few that tune into your other podcasts. I mean, since you mentioned on the show, and while we're at it, since you haven't mentioned in a while, where can they find that? And what is the name of that other podcast?
Yeah, absolutely. So my day job for gymnastics, so we have a podcast called Coach on Command, and if you like gymnastics or interested in learning about it, maybe you have a daughter or a sister or somebody who wants to know how to do better gymnastics. We're just all about, trying to help make gymnastics as safe and healthy a sport as possible by giving out good information about it. We also roast each other a whole lot, so not so unlike me and Drew. But yeah, so it's a pretty entertaining show. But yeah, Coach on Command, you can check it out. We're on Facebook. All of our episodes are up on YouTube, and we're also on Spotify.
There you go. So go ahead and check that out. This week's show, we've got Clemente Lisi joining us here in Clemente's World. Chance to talk about a whole bunch of things. We got hockey, we got soccer, we've got the Topps Now Pope cards. We get to mention those a little bit in there, and some stuff previewing Fanatics Fest, which Clemente will be out at later on this month. Also mention that upcoming in Hobby Happenings. But before we get to Clemente, we'll have all of our regular segments actually after him as well. We have Baker's Dozen, talking about news in the autograph world and some upcoming signings that are going on. We have Hobby Happenings, talking about some upcoming shows throughout the month of June. After that, we joined, as we said, by Clemente Lisi in Clemente's World. And we'll have Making the Grade, covering all things in the world of grading. And I will give the TTM cast stamp of approval. Could be just about anything, whether it's sports and hobby related or not. Typically not. We've got the Vern Rapp Minute, covering deaths in the world of sports among well-known TTMers and card show regulars, typically in that. And, of course, the main reason why we all are here and why the show exists, it is our TTM returns. If you'd like to get a hold of us, Aaron, how can they contact us best?
That email address is ttmcast@yahoo.com.
So if you want to send us any questions, comments, anything like that, if you've got something you want to add to the show calendar, let us know on there. If you're handling any private signings, let us know who you've got coming up in, well, at this point, we'll need to know who's going to be doing it in August that you've got on your calendar. So let us know that through there. If you want to find us directly, dfwgrapher@gmail.com is the place to find me. I've got all my stuff is at dfwgrapher on pretty much all social media. I'm on Blue Sky. I'm on Instagram, all those kind of places. Find me there. Aaron, where can the people contact and follow and find you at?
It is mostly on Instagram. You can find me at Aaron Sports Card Explosion. That is Aaron, Arron. And I've made enough jokes about why my name is spelled that way. But you can check out most of my cards and autographs and all that good stuff. Or you can follow me at the Eternal Graphing Tour, also on Instagram, with underscores in between each of those words. And that is my quest, I think I mentioned it earlier, to visit all of the affiliated major league and minor league ballparks in the United States and Canada. And so here in about at the end of next month, I guess technically it's the middle of next month, we will be heading out, me and my mom, on the road again, and we'll be heading out towards the Carolinas and up into Maryland, Virginia, all of that good stuff. And so you can check out all of that.
I'm sure we'll have you on during for the August show there, contacting us from the road and giving us an update as how things are going on. We've got talk to Troy Rudder, and he will be standing in as co-host for that one. So we got you covered there. You can go ahead and do your whole trip there and everything and not have to worry about missing anything over here.
All right, sounds good. Shout out to Troy. I appreciate it.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, there you go. That's the intro for this week. Let's move on into Baker's Dozen.
Baker's Dozen, sponsored by SportsCollectorsDaily.com.
Smart collectors turn to Sports Collectors Daily to stay up to date. From new releases to incredible collections hitting the auction block, news from inside the business of sports collectibles, and much more, Sports Collectors Daily has it, all with no subscription cost. SC Daily also delivers a live look at the most watched sports card auctions on eBay for every sport. Sign up to get the headlines in your email for free, or just visit the website whenever you like. With 16,000 stories in the archive going back 16 years, there's always plenty to read at sportscollectorsdaily.com.
Baker's Dozen is a summary of, mostly right now, we've got some upcoming releases of card sets. We've got some upcoming signings that are taking place, just any other news that's going on that pertains to autograph signing. I want to remind you, I have a weekly article on sportscollectorsdaily.com. Even though the show is monthly, I am still doing the shows or the articles pretty much weekly on there. I've kind of gotten off track a little bit there, but I should have one that's coming up either today or tomorrow on there. So check it out at sportscollectorsdaily.com. Not just my article. There's a whole lot of great stuff on there. That's all sorts of hobby-related content. Also check out the TTM Cast store at ttmcast.com. It's in the top banner of the site there. And helps support us and keep the show going, because we've got to find some way to cover our bills there. But you can get a hold of a TTM Cast t-shirt through there, or a hoodie. We've got a accessory bag there for you to keep all your pens in while graphing, anything like that. A nice aluminum water bottle there, too. ttmcast.com. Click on the store in the top banner. Well, a little of bad news in the world of signing right now, and it comes along with one that I got back this week. And that is that former NFL commissioner, Paul Tagliabue. He was signing for quite a while through his offices in either New York or the D.C. area, and unfortunately no longer able to sign. He's been battling Parkinson's disease for a while, and I mailed him in February of 2024, and just this week got my card back along with a short little note card here that I actually have still sitting right here, fortunately. But Aaron, you can see that right there. They send that back, a little preprint autograph at the bottom there, but it says, as I drop it there, Paul Tagliabue, Pro Football Hall of Fame Class of 2020. Thank you for your interest in my career and for being an NFL fan. I regret that due to advancing age and Parkinson's disease, I can no longer sign autographs. Keep cheering on your favorite team. Good luck, Paul Tagliabue. So anybody who's considering mailing to the former commissioner, unfortunately, you missed out. It was my second attempt on him, so it's like, all right, I got my ones of him beforehand, but thought I might hopefully get one more, but no, unfortunately, he has to be done signing. So there you go, just a quick heads up to anybody considering mailing off to him. Well, we got some card releases that are coming up here over the next month, tentatively scheduled for June. But Aaron, we'll let you lead this one off. What do we got for the our first one here? It's obviously a big one here that I see.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, I guess one would say the big one, or, one of the bigger ones. 2025 Top Series 2 baseball drops on June the 11th. For hobby, you will get 12 cards per pack. You'll get 20 packs per box, one auto or relic, and pre-sale price for that is $110. For the jumbo, you will get 40 cards per pack, 10 packs per box, one auto, and 2 relics, and the pre-sale price for that is $250.
I think when I said jumbo there, that's when I should have had the echo thing going on there. So yeah,
you should. That is the proper use. Yeah. All right, next time we'll have to go through here, and anytime we say jumbo, we'll have to do like a hit.
Yes. Everybody missed this as it happened before we started recording here, but I was having problems. I'm sitting there, and I was getting like this weird echo thing going on with everything I said. I couldn't figure out where it's coming from. Finally, I figured out, oh, yeah, it's on my little mixing board here. I've got this 4-channel mixer that has a couple of onboard effects, and one of them is like this, delay echo kind of thing, and, that was accidentally clicked on, so we got that figured out, but yeah, I may have to figure out a way to use that now during the show, and that would have been it.
I thought Drew had been possessed by a demon. I didn't know what is going on.
I mean, I am, but that's beside the point. I mean, So. Moving on, we've got some Donruss baseball coming out here as well. June 18th, the scheduled release on that one. In there, you're going to see 8 cards per pack, 24 packs per box. For those not mathematically inclined, that is 192 cards total in that box. 3 autograph or memorabilia in there, along with 24 inserts or parallels, and 24 Donruss optic cards there as well. Pre-sale price, $175.
And then we also have 2024-25 UD Parkhurst Champions Hockey, which drops on June the 18th. You'll get 8 cards per pack, 20 packs per box. You know, and I'll let you do your own math on that one. One auto or memorabilia card, 16 inserts, parallels, or short prints, and the pre-sale price for that is $150.
That'd be 160 cards per box. That's the easy math there.
I'll let you do all the math. Okay, I'll just
Okay.
stick with the read.
Yeah. If you like football, we've got Score Football for 2025 coming out. That was scheduled for June 25th. 20 cards per pack with 10 packs per box. Nice, easy 200 cards right there. 4 autographs in each box. It's a nice start right there. 50 rookie cards in there as well. And 34 inserts or parallels. So a lot going on there in those Score boxes. I believe this might be the last year of Score Football as well. So great chance to get the last one. Check that out before, unfortunately, Fanatics takes everything over next year. Pre-sale price for some 2025 Score Football, that's going to run you $190. We got some private signings that are taking place throughout the month of July. A whole bunch here that are definitely worth checking out if you need these guys for some sets. We try to keep to ones that are under $50 a card, basically. So if you need any other items besides cards signed, go and check out some of these sites and figure out, exactly how much it'll cost for those. Or they may also have some, higher end signers there as well. But we're just trying to keep it into the kind of affordable range here on any of these signers. Starting off with a local company here, Autographs Inc. You can find them online at the Autographs Inc. INK on that.com. They're going to have former punter Rick Engels signing on July 7th, as well as former defensive back R.W. McQuarters. Rick Engels, his price is going to be $7. McQuarters' price right now is yet to be announced, but again, the Autographs Inc. INK.com is a place to find out more info on those.
And on July the 13th, Smith's Cards is going to have Alex Kirilov for $15 per card. And for more information about that, you can check out smithscards.com.
Mentioned a lot from Wilder Side of Sports. They run a lot of shows all over the country, especially kind of around in Ohio, but also down like into the Carolinas, I think in Indiana, all over kind of the Midwest to southeast there. But WilderSideOfSports.com, they're going to have on July 12th, Howard Johnson and Dwight Gooden both signing. Johnson is $10 per card, or if you need 5 or more cards, that's $6 a card then. So it's basically, if you need him, buy 3, get 2 free. So that's a great deal right there. Take advantage of that if you need him. Dwight Gooden is going to be there as well on July 12th, $15 each or 10 each if you need 5 or more. So that's basically, buy 3, get 2 more for $5. So another solid deal there. And I'm actually about to send into a Gooden signing, and I wish I had waited and seen this one because I would have saved a few bucks and got a few more signed that way. But oh well, such is life. July 29th, Joey Logano for the NASCAR collectors is going to be signing through Wilder Side of Sports as well. $40 per card there. Once again, WilderSideOfSports.com.
Now on July the 10th, Daryl Hawk is going to have, and here's the name I haven't heard in a long time, Stromile Swift. Former Grizzly, I believe. Why do I think he played for the Houston Rockets too? Anyway, I could be wrong about that. But anyway, definitely Grizzly. He will have him for $20 a card. And for more information about that, you can check out hawkmansports.com.
Jamie Bly from Bly Sports Marketing said that he's going to have on July 12th, Ron Karkovice, former White Sox catcher. Used to be a great TTMer early on. He's kind of shut it down since then, but accessible now through Bly here. The signing will be $10 per card. If you need bulk numbers, 5 or more, it'll be down to $9 each. 10 or more will be down to $8 each. So there you go. If you need Ron Karkovice, that's the way to get him. You can find, just look up Bly Sports Marketing on Facebook. He's also as Jamie Bly on SCN. That's sportscollectors.net.
And on July the 5th, Perry Sports Legends will have former catcher for the Tampa Bay Devil Rays and some others. I think he was a Dodger. He was in Rangers camp at some point. But Toby Hall for $12 per card. For more information about that, you can check out PerrySportsLegends.com.
I know he's in 2002 Topps and 2002 40 Man. So hint, Aaron, you can send into that one.
And that's how I knew he was a Ranger farmhand, because I went to spring training that year and I got all those knocked out. So
there you go. You're all set then. Perfect.
I'm all good on that one. That's how I knew about it. Yeah.
Yep. Santiago De Leon, we mentioned him last month. He doesn't have a website, just an Instagram at SDL_sports memorabilia. He's doing some cards-only signings around July 25th. He's out of Texas, but goes down and does some signings in Puerto Rico and the Dominican Republic. And so upcoming in July at the end of the month, he has former Ranger Jose Cesena at $12 each, or if you need 3 or more, it'll be down to $10 each on that for cards and I believe for photos as well. So worth checking out there if you're working on, I know he's in the 89 Topps set, and I think maybe 88 Topps traded, if I remember right. So check those out if you need him. Al Pulido is also on his roster of signings. Same price there, $12 each or $10 each if you need 3 or more. I know Pulido at least is in that 89 Topps set as well. Might be an 87 and 88 now that I think about it too. I think a Yankee in each of those. And if you want to take it back to 1970s Braves, we've got Max Leon is going to be another one of his clients coming up here. $13 each, $11 each if you need 3 or more, or $10 each if you need 5 or more. So once again, that is Santiago De Leon. Instagram is SDL_sports memorabilia. No extra spaces in there after that underscore.
All right, and we also have on July 19th, DEB Sports will have former infielder Ray Sanchez for $12 a card. And for more information about that, you can check out Facebook, DEB Sports Autographs and Signings.
There you go. And there's a lot still coming up later on in the month. Of course, we've got the National coming at the end of July, which our July episode will be talking all about events related to the National and everything that's going on with that. And, of course, Cooperstown Induction Weekend takes place later in the month as well. Lots of signings taking place around both of those. If there's anybody that you need from those, sportscollectors.net has a huge roster of who's doing signings, who's taking stuff for signings, what their prices are. Go and check that out if there's anybody that you need who's going to be at any of those events. Right now, let's move on into hobby happenings.
You heard that right. It's time for Hobby Happenings.
Hobby Happenings is basically the show calendar here, just letting you know what is upcoming for various card shows in the month of June for this one. So we tell you all the private signings for July so you can get stuff mailed out to those, and give you the shows for June so you can kind of plan what's upcoming for the next couple of weeks here to go and check those out. And first one we have comes to us from listener John Guzman. He mailed us one, I believe it's for our last episode or one of the late April episodes possibly, but he's got another show to mention here in Georgia for this one. It's the Savannah show on June 14th. This will be at the Embassy Suites, Savannah, Georgia Airport. Admission is only $4 to get into that one. 65 tables to be set up there. No autographed guests at this time, but worth checking out if you're in the area. Card Fest Promotions on Facebook is the place to get more information.
And then we also have the Houston Summer Show that's going on June the 12th through the 14th at Bayou Event Center there. And admission is free. You can't beat free on Thursday and Friday. And then it'll be $10 admission on Saturday. They will have 14 signers signing there, including Bo Jackson and Warren Moon. So some heavy hitters going on there. Yeah. For more information, you can check out GTSM shows on Facebook.
Got the first of 2 Mansfield shows we're going to be mentioning here. This will be on June 15th at the Envision Hotel, Mansfield, Massachusetts. $3 admission cost to get into that one. And here's a guy that doesn't do a whole lot of signing if you need him, from the late 2000s Boston Celtics, James Posey. I believe he's part of their NBA championship winning team around that time. I think it was 2008, if I remember right. Cost for that one starts at $25 for cards on up, a little more expensive for some of the larger items. If you wanted to get more information there from the Mansfield show and several others going on up in Massachusetts, you're going to hear this website address a few times here in the next couple minutes, cardboardpromotions.com.
And then we also have Fanatics Fest, which is going on June the 20th through the 22nd at the Javits Center in New York City. Admission price is $60. And they will have 109 signers, including Jorge Posada and Jaromir Jagr. So, again, some huge names there, and, tons of signers going on. For more information about that, you can check out fanaticsfest.com.
Stay tuned a little bit later on when we talk to Clemente Lisi. He talks about that show as well, since he'll be out at that one. Meanwhile, on the other side of the country from this, we've got the SoCal Summer Show on June 21st through the 22nd. It's at the Frank and Son Collectible Show in Rowland Heights, California. Free admission to get into this. So just a little bit of a juxtaposition there from that Fanatics Fest cost there, but they're going to have 25 signers at this, including Drew Brees, Dennis Rodman, and Rod Carew all out there. GTSM Shows on Facebook is also the one promoting this one, so more information, go and check out their Facebook page as well.
Then we have the Emerald Square show going on June the 21st and the 22nd at Emerald Square Mall in North Attleboro, Massachusetts. They'll have Satch Sanders and Reggie Lemelin signing there. And for more information about that, you can check out cardboardpromotions.com.
Down a little further south, the next week we've got the Chantilly show, of course, one of the big ones that takes place around this time of year every year. So the Dulles Expo Center, Chantilly, Virginia, $20 admission cost to get into that one. 47 autograph signers, though, listed on their roster of signers there. DeMarcus Ware is one of them. Chipper Jones, one of a couple of Hall of Famers there. And a personal favorite, Mark Price, is going to be signing there as well. If you want more info about the Chantilly show, go to csashows.com.
And also on June the 28th, we have the South Carolina Card Show going on at the State Fairgrounds in Columbia, South Carolina. Admission, the admission price is $10. And Bo Jackson and Dale Murphy will be there signing. Man, Bo is getting the rounds in. I tell you what, Bo knows signing at card shows. And for more information about that, you can check out South Carolina Card Show on Facebook.
Have you ever seen some of the limitations he has on stuff that he'll sign, though?
Oh, no. Is it crazy?
Oh, a little bit. He won't sign anything that has him with the shoulder pads and bat photo. He will not sign anything to do with that at all. Even like the original card that was on, even the original poster, he won't sign any of those because I guess there was some big copyright trademark infringement lawsuit that took place. So he's like, you know what? I'm just not going to sign any of those anymore. A lot of Heisman stuff he will not touch, especially any Heisman stuff that's signed by the other winners from Auburn. He will not add his signature to those. He's got to be like the first one to sign it. And even then, he sometimes won't do it. So I know there's a few others that I can't think of them off the top of my head. I think I've got them on my site, though. But yeah, there's a lot he will not touch.
Wow.
Yeah. Going back to actually one of his former places of playing, Illinois. We've got the Illinois Card Con going on June 28th. So the GoPro Sports Dome in Joliet. Admission is $6 for that one. We're going to have 5 members of the 1985 Super Bowl winning Chicago Bears signing autographs out there. If you want to find out exactly who those 5 are and get more info about the show, check out Game Changer Shows on Facebook.
Ooh, very mysterious. If you want to find out who's signing, go to...
I mean, they're the monsters of the Midway. I got to keep it kind of spooky, so yeah.
I got it. Yeah, you got to, don't break the fourth wall. It'll be fun. And Drew spoke it into existence. We have our second Mansfield show going on July 4th. So holiday show going on there at the Envision Hotel in Mansfield, Massachusetts. Admission is $3, and they will have Bernie Carbo and Spaceman Bill Lee signing there for $14 each. And for more information about that, you can check out cardboardpromotions.com.
A little further down the road from there, we've got the Dedham show in Dedham, Massachusetts, their Holiday Inn on July 6th. $3 admission cost on that as well. You can find out more about it at cardboardpromotions.com, where they're really getting their money's worth here with naming that site off on there. But Wilbur Wood is going to be signing there. No info yet on the prices there, but like I said, cardboardpromotions.com should have all of the info there soon if they don't have it already.
I tell you what, Massachusetts is getting it in, man, because we also have the Methuen show going on July the 6th at VFW Hall number 8349. I made it through that successfully. In Methuen, Massachusetts. Admission there is $2, and they will have former Boston Bruin Rick Middleton signing for $15. And for more information about that, you can check out cardshows.net.
Well, if you can't get out to these shows and you'd like to get in on some of the signings, a lot of them offer mail-ins. So visit cravetheauto.com for more info about upcoming shows and signings all over the country. There's a lot of them that we have not named in here that may take mail-ins that you may have some interest in. So go and check it out, cravetheauto.com. And like I said, check out those various shows sites as well to see if they'll take your mail-ins. Right now, let's go ahead and take a look into Clemente's world.
You know what that means. It's time for Clemente's World.
All right, we are here with Clemente Lisi as we have Clemente's World, formerly a once a month thing, now just kind of moving into kind of once a season now as we move into the monthly format of the show. But Clemente, good to have you on here as always.
Yeah, great to be back on.
And well, first things first, I know you outside of sports stuff, you do a lot of writing on religion topics, and we have a new pope, and he's a White Sox fan. I just have to say, if there's any team that needs divine intervention right now, it's probably the White Sox. So I think that works out pretty well for them.
It's funny as somebody who writes about sports and collectibles, and then I write about religion and politics and culture and all that stuff. It is a little bit of worlds colliding there.
Yeah.
And so not only is it surprising to have an American Pope, but yeah, the fact that he is a White Sox fan, and not just because he bought a hat once. I mean, there's actually video footage of him at the World Series, which is
Right.
pretty crazy. I will say when I saw that video a few days after he was made Pope, I thought, wow, internet does their job. They found the future Pope at a White Sox game and at a World Series to boot. So pretty cool. And I think that's just adds a little bit of a dimension that sports fans always kind of enjoy when kind of these different worlds collide. And it's cool that he's from Chicago. And I think you're right. The White Sox need a little help, and maybe they'll get it now, you know?
Yeah. You mentioned we were talking off the air there about the Topps cards that came out of Pope Leo there, and that you picked up a few of those as well. So kind of cool to see that as well. I mean, it's kind of like I'm sitting looking, I'm like, this kind of sacrilegious. Nah, we'll let it go. We'll let it go. It kind of
Well,
seems cool. It seems a lot of people like him.
yeah, for anyone who's Catholic, you know that Catholics will have saints or cards
Mhm.
of, and so when I saw those, I thought, oh, I'll buy like 10 of these. And
Yeah.
I'm not a Tops Now guy, I must admit, because they're gimmicky. 10 of them, and I thought, okay, I'll keep one or two, but I'll give them out to my family, my friends, like, and they can, my parents could have one, like as a good Italian, you have to have the Pope on your refrigerator, right? So I thought,
Right.
well, what better than to have a baseball card of the Pope, right? And I think Topps made that card before they knew he was a White Sox fan. So they were going to make it anyway, but it kind of worked out both ways. And I think Topps did sell a lot of them. I mean, he came, he didn't beat Otani, but he did beat LeBron James and Wembanyama as a Topps Now card. So that tells you something about the interest that kind of transcended even religion. And I think you don't have to be Catholic to kind of get in on it, because
Right.
everyone's into the whole pageantry and the white smoke and all that. And I always say no one does drama better than the Catholic Church. So here we go. Yeah.
Yeah. Cool stuff to see there. Well, digging into some more some other recent stuff here, we've got the NHL playoffs, of course. That's kind of a big area of interest for us both, and finally into the Stanley Cup Finals here after all of that. And when all is said and done, we get another Edmonton and Florida rematch. So for better or for worse, we get that again. I mean, I thought it was a pretty decent series last year, so hopefully it just gets even better this year.
Yeah, we go from the Pope to something more secular, and obviously the Holy Grail being the Stanley Cup. And yeah, we get a rematch, which I think, I'm not for rematches. And I will say the Stanley Cup and even the NHL in general, it's hard to build dynasties
Mhm.
with today's, salary caps and everything else. But maybe this is what the hockey gods wanted. And I think it might actually work out. I mean, Florida's an amazing team. And I will say, picking up Brad Marchand, that didn't hurt them, of course.
Yeah.
And, with the Oilers, I always say the hobby loves the Oilers because of McDavid and Draisaitl and just this whole thing with Gretzky. I mean, everything, right? And so this gives McDavid another chance at the Stanley Cup, and I think the Oilers cannot mess this up. I mean, it's almost like it's been set up for them to repeat. Now, if they don't repeat, hey, kudos to Florida. They're building an amazing team. It just seems wrong to me that Governor DeSantis has more Stanley Cups than former Prime Minister Trudeau, but
Oof.
this is the
Yeah.
world we're in, that we're in this world where the hot, warm market NHL teams are doing better than Toronto and Edmonton, and Canada can't win a Stanley Cup. And I think it'd be amazing for the sport, if not TV ratings, but if the Oilers won, I think it would be amazing for Canada, and it would be amazing for the hobby, because McDavid doesn't need a cup to be in the Hall of Fame, but it would help solidify his standing, and also the hobby wise, it would be bonkers. It already is bonkers with McDavid, but it would be even more so.
Yeah. Yeah. First, I mean, it's kind of funny. Edmonton, I think, has been in what, three of the last four attempts for a Canadian team to get to try for a cup there. I think three of the last four, three of the last five finalists from Canada have been the Oilers each time. So kind of cool to see them get back in there. It seems like, I mean, all right, the time is now. Definitely, it seems for one to win one. I would hope.
Yeah, time is running out. They're not getting any younger, this team. And if
Mhm.
their goaltending can stay focused, and if McDavid and Draisaitl could have the sort of series that they need, it's not gonna be easy.
Yeah.
Florida's a tough team. We've seen that. They've won. They know they've been here before. And so, but I think the Oilers can learn from their mistakes. I mean, we should remember that last year's MVP in the Stanley Cup playoffs was McDavid, even though he was on the losing team, right?
Yeah.
Tells you a little bit about Florida and a little bit about the goaltending and all that other stuff that was going on at the time. But I do think it's kind of a do or die. It's not a hobby must, but I do think that the hobby is wanting McDavid to win the cup. And Ovechkin's got one, Crosby's got one at least. Gretzky has more than one. I mean, to be a great player, you have to have. Otherwise, you're the Dan Marino of hockey, and nobody wants to be that,
Right.
right? And so, I'm already seeing a couple of price increases for some of McDavid's cards in the last 30 days because of that whole push.
It seems like if he doesn't win it, it's not going to hurt his card values. But if he does win it, look
Oof.
out. I think you're going to see some, maybe not skyrocketing, but definitely a bit of an increase there for sure.
Yeah, I'll give you an example. So his Young Guns card is already out of reach, right? So that
Yes.
hasn't really seen much movement because it's already so expensive. But for example, McDavid's 2015 rookie year UD portraits, for example, that's up almost 40% because people are looking for an alternative to the Young Guns because it's already so expensive.
Right.
The his rookie from OPG Platinum, for example, that's up 25%. So people from his rookie year. So people are looking for his other rookie year cards to
Mhm.
try to, sort of say, oh, you know what, I don't have his Young Guns, or maybe I already have that, but should I go out and diversify and buy other stuff? And that stuff has seen massive growth. And of course, for Florida, Brad Marchand's Young Guns card is up about 10%. His rookie cards have never been sky high. Hockey fans also have this adversity we talked about buying a rookie card of a player on their team who's pictured in another uniform. Of course, he was wearing a Bruins jersey in that photo, and he's obviously I'd say a Bruins legend at this point.
Oh, yeah.
Um, so, definitely the Florida market is much weaker on hockey than the Canadian one or North American one is on the Oilers. And I always say Draisaitl, one of the best players in the league, definitely a Hall of Famer, totally underappreciated by the hobby. I've written about this over and over again at Puck Junk and other places. Leon Draisaitl is definitely somebody, to me, he's like a Yari Curry, but doesn't get the respect he deserves. And maybe if he wins the cup, it will also increase his price. And we'll see all that obviously come July at the National, because that happened a couple of years ago with Colorado. They won the cup, and all of a sudden, you couldn't get a Cale Makar rookie card of any set of any of that year because everything at the National was sky high. I expect that to be the case with the Oilers should they win the cup.
On the other side, the team the Oilers beat, the Dallas Stars,
Hmm.
is their window closing rapidly? Because it feels to me like, I mean, you've got Jamie Benn is now an unrestricted free agent, their captain. You've got Matt Duchene, who's been a big contributor, who's an unrestricted free agent. Mikko Rantanen really just kind of disappeared in the playoffs there. Is that going to hurt their card values? Are they going to, are you going to see a bit of an exodus there, those first two guys at all, do you think?
Yeah, no, I do see that maybe there's time for a rebuild there. If we say
Mhm.
talk about the Oilers and a do or die to win the cup, when you get bounced out of the conference, finals, 2 years in a row by the same team, and you have some key players kind of disappear. Yeah, I think they're gonna have to blow things up and start over again. It's not easy, obviously, because they're a competitive team and they're not going to get a high draft pick, so they can't really bank on that. They have to spend money and they have to do it that way. But I think that's the way to go. And I do think for Dallas, it's sort of they remind me a little bit of the Rangers, where they're competitive and they're in it, but they don't have exactly, they need a few pieces, one or
Right.
two pieces to get them over the hump. And yeah, they're gonna have to definitely rebuild, and that's for sure. And hobby wise, I'd say, Mikko Rantanen was, you know, he was a hobby favorite for a few years there and totally off the radar now, obviously. And so that happens to these players. If you're not able to sustain it over a decade period like a McDavid or like Ovechkin over 2 decades or Crosby and then you disappear hobby wise. You just
Mhm.
have a Cale Makar. I mentioned him just now, but I'm sure you can get Cale Makar Young Guns card for probably a decent amount, not that expensive because he hasn't been consistent enough, and that's what you need in sports, and the hobby responds to that.
Yeah. Moving into some hobby news here, Upper Deck. making some moves to stop fake patches and patch swaps and everything like that in their cards. I just wrote about that for a Sports Collectors Daily or Sports Collectors Digest here recently. But what can you tell us about what Upper Deck's doing here?
Yeah, this was a kind of a strange announcement, but they're decided to put their rookie patch auto cards that appear in the cup, which are the most coveted rookie cards in the hobby, especially the hockey hobby. Basically, when you buy the cup, and which is our premium, product, you're going to get that card. It's already going to be slabbed with a number on it, and that number then you can then cross-reference that on their database to see the card and the autograph and the patch. Now, why would you want to do that? Because people have been taking out patches out of cards and replacing them, not just in hockey, but in basketball and baseball over the years. And Upper Deck has always been at the forefront of trying to stop con artists and thieves, with the foil packs and the holograms years ago. And now I think they're taking another step in that direction. It's an interesting thing. So when you open the cup and you open the tin and you get your cards, they're all in there. And then all of a sudden behind this piece of paper and this piece of felt, kind of like an unveiling, you take this piece out, and all of a sudden there's a slabbed rookie patch auto, which is cool. But like I said, it's already slabbed. It doesn't have a grade. It just says it's authentic, and it's got a number, and you can cross-reference it. It's a little bit like some high-end baseball products where you can look up the number to see actually what game the jersey was used in. Now, that doesn't give you that much information here, but it tells you what the patch looks like, and that it's authentic. So something you couldn't do before, which creates, so if you're going to buy this card, let's say, and it's in the slab with a number and you see it on eBay, you could cross-reference it and you can make sure the patch matches the photo. Because in the past, I don't think Upper Deck took pictures of all their cards and then put them in a database. That's a lot of work.
Yes.
And so then there's a way to cross-reference. It's a way to protect the buyers. It's a way to help people on the secondary market as well, potentially. And it just gets out of this patch swapping thing, which I think a lot of people don't think is a thing, but it is. So, for example, if there's a patch that's like maybe a white patch or maybe just too colored, you could take that out and then replace it with, a jersey you have hanging in your closet, and you cut out a nice logo patch and you stick that in there. Now the card value goes up, but it's not the original. It's not even the game worn. It's just a totally fake patch. But the consumer doesn't know that, and Upper Deck couldn't police that. So in a nutshell, that's why they're doing this. It's a brand new experiment. It's in the cup. Could it expand to other Upper Deck products? Potentially. I think this is kind of a test to see how people will receive it, and we'll see what happens.
I know Panini had talked about doing this a decade or so ago and had promoted the hell out of it. That, oh yeah, we're going to do this. Make sure this doesn't happen. And then I think they realized just what an undertaking that is. Because I mean, even doing it just for something like the cup, that's a lot of stuff going on there. And when you talk about trying to do it for every single product, it's like, whoa, that's might be biting off a little bit more than you can chew there. And I think Panini realized that. And I think Upper Deck seems to be going about it the right way. Start with the big one there, and then kind of work your way down to some of the lower end products from there if it works out.
Yeah, the only caveat, and they had a kind of briefing with reporters that I was involved with. My question was, well, who's going to stop anyone from cracking this thing out of its Upper Deck slab and putting it in like a PSA slab? Because people want a grade and they want BCS, or they want whatever they want. And Upper Deck said, look, they're hoping in the future that they can work with the grading companies so that authentic number can be put on the slab maybe, and then people can still cross-reference it. Now, some people might argue, I like it in the Upper Deck slab. It's kind of cool. Is breaking it out of that slab and putting in another slab kind of impacting the card? I don't know. Its value, I'm not sure. It'll be interesting to see how many of these I see in the wild. That's why I like to go to card shows, especially the national or big shows, because you kind of want to see how are people interacting with this innovation. And look, like anything new in the hobby, it's going to take time for people to understand. It's funny, people in the hobby, we love innovation, or at least talking about innovation, but we actually don't like change. We don't like to see changes. We like, we still wish things were like they were in the 90s, but they're not. And we need to move on. And we have technology that can help us. And anything that can stop scammers, I'm for, obviously. And so this is a step in the right direction. I agree with you. It's a big undertaking, and just limiting it to rookie patch autos in the cup, which is your most high end, is great. Do you want to do this for every patch card that's like a $3 card? Maybe not, right? It's nobody would take a swatch out of that card. But the high end stuff, why not? And maybe this is something that Topps and other card makers could also implement, because this patch swapping is a much bigger issue than I first thought. Once I did a little bit digging into this and Upper Deck, announced this change, I realized, oh, this is a big deal. And, you know, who knows how many people out there have cards with a totally fake swatch in it and nobody knows it, not even the manufacturer, because they didn't keep a record of it.
Yeah. I mean, how long before we have like a little QR code on the back of every card or something like that to go and
Yeah.
verify it? I mean, something like that could come.
I mean, that's not even, yeah, the QR code isn't hard. You're right. It's the back end. How do you keep a data? You have to basically become ComC. You have to now create all these, you got to take a photo of every card, back and front. And card companies are not doing that. Card companies are designing the cards, printing them, next, repeat, repeat. They're not, I just think of all the parallels that come with some of these cards. Like, how would you be able to do a data? I mean, the companies would have to all become like sort of data companies in a way, and that's just not, but the way it is now, the only way to really know what a card looks like is you have to hope that you can find an old eBay listing, or you have to like go to one of these groups online and see if someone posted a photo of the card 3 years ago to make sure the swatch isn't different, because if it is, something is wrong here.
Yeah. And I mean, with a product like the cup too, I mean, that's one it's had its delays before. It's it tends to get behind in production, everything, and print super late. How much would adding something like that to more than just the rookie patch autos add on to that time frame and timeline? And is it going to get to a point where they have to say, okay, look, we're just going to completely get rid of this 1 year of it to try to get back on track for this next year or something like that?
Yeah, I mean, as it is, because of the pandemic and other reasons, they're already like, it seems, a year and a half behind on this product anyway. And this is a high end product. I mean, it's like $1,200 for 5 cards or something. It's high end. But yeah, you're right. It could delay things even more. And an upper deck like Panini or like Topps have to hire lots more people to create database. Look, if AI can do this someday, great, but we're not there yet. And so in the meantime, it's an interesting experiment. I'd love to sort of revisit it in a year from now and say, how did that go, and how did the hobby respond to it? And I'd be curious to see what people say.
Yeah. Let's move on to some soccer here as we are reaching the end of the season everywhere pretty much. I mean, this is we're on the June episode here. I think all of the major European leagues have finished up, but
Yes.
I mean, Real Madrid, you have, of course, winning La Liga and the Champions League. Chelsea making a splash at the Europa League, the Conference League, and the Women's FA Cup. So a big, nice year for them right there, bouncing back from some kind of mid-range years, I guess you could say, there for the last couple of them there. But it's kind of funny. Going back to, I think, the last time we talked, I made a joke about Crystal Palace eventually someday being able to win the entire thing. And, well, they took the FA Cup, and I saw that. I'm like, wait, what? Hold on a second here. But, yeah, been an interesting year there across everything in Europe.
Yeah, I'm just going to correct you. You said Real Madrid won La Liga. They did not. It's a Freudian slip. Barcelona did.
Oh,
And
Barcelona did. Oh, Che.
yeah.
My search on Google there led me down the wrong one there. So, okay.
That damn AI. No, but
Yeah.
it's true. Real Madrid usually does win it, and Real Madrid has a lot of older players. Barcelona, a lot of younger players. Lamine Yamal is
Yep.
17 years old, exceptional. They got the Champions League semifinals. They won their league, and he's a huge hobby favorite. Only 17 years old, and which is good because you don't get too many soccer rookies. So yeah, so if you're a collector of his, the time to gobble up the cards probably was a year ago. Now it's getting much more difficult, and
Yes.
be that good that young. The other one that grew in stature at Real Madrid was Mbappe, his first year there. He's always been pretty hot, and he kind of went through a cold spell last year. He's hot again. I expect his cards to shoot up in value big time. The closest race, though, we had of all the major European leagues was in Italy, where Napoli won the league by 1 point over Inter. And if anybody saw on social media or Googled it, they're probably still celebrating a week later. So, so it's pretty crazy. Their fourth title ever, their second in 3 years. So, the big debate sometimes in Europe is, Europe is just basically a round robin tournament. And if you finish first, you win the league. There's no playoffs. There are no playoffs. And sort of the knock is the European leagues don't have playoffs. But sometimes a team like Liverpool, they won the league, 5 match days early, a month early, and so that took the air out of the tires. But you have other competitions. You have teams finishing in the top 4 to go to the Champions League, and then you have a few English teams did well in Europe, like you said. Chelsea won the Conference League, which is their third tier competition. Tottenham won the Europa League against Manchester United in an all English affair. Manchester United obviously having a really bad season. Liverpool won the league, as we mentioned. So Liverpool fan, Man City had a down year. So for all those new Man City fans, they had a bad year, And so interesting, just interesting dynamic. And then compare that to MLS. MLS has playoffs. The regular season doesn't mean as much, obviously. Just want to, it's basically a seeding tournament for the playoffs. And look, there's an excitement to the playoffs. It's a very American thing, the playoffs. In Europe, they do things a little differently. Either way, though, this was a year where you did see some teams do things that, like Crystal Palace, they won the FA Cup, first trophy ever in 119 years. That's amazing. That's like super amazing. You have Bologna in Italy. They won the Coppa Italia, which is their league cup, first trophy in 51 years. I mean, that for a neutral, that's the best. Like you watch that and you're rooting for these underdogs. And so maybe we're seeing a bit of a power shift in Europe. Yeah, the Barcelonas and the Bayern Munichs, they're not going anywhere. But you're seeing maybe a little bit of a power shift maybe in these sort of other competitions and other levels, which is good because American sports, I feel like any team can win. The first day of when the opening day in baseball, you really think any team can win the World Series, maybe other than the White Sox, but any team can win the World Series. In soccer, not every team can win the French league or the German league. It's going to be two or three teams max.
Yeah.
Right. So it's a bit of they don't have salary caps, they don't have the draft, they don't have all that stuff. So it makes it more volatile for fans, obviously, in terms of, but for the hobby, it's much easier because you just focus on two or three teams and 5 or 10 players, and then you can ignore everybody else. Right. So that's the way it works. It's a little different, but it's interesting. And we should also point out that a year from now, we'll be on the eve of a World Cup that will be held in the United States. So that's huge for the hobby, for the sport, for fans, and just the World Cup is one of those parties everybody watches the World Cup, everybody, and so that'll be fun to have it here in the U.S. and it'll remind everyone, everyone old enough to have been alive in 1994 can remember 1994 when the World Cup was held in the United States and what a big deal that ultimately became.
That was what got me started in playing, really, was that 94 Cup. Because, I mean, we'd play our recess games and all that kind of stuff, but I'd never really done anything besides that. And then seeing it on TV in the backyard there for the first time, it's like, okay, yeah, I can actually play this year in 5th grade for my school. Let's go ahead and try that out. And that got me into it. And how many other kids are going to have something like that happen? I mean, even now, 30 years later, I've got 6 games right down the road from me here. And I'm thinking, okay, wonder what it's going to take for me to be able to get into one of those at some point, just be able to watch it, just to be able to see it live or something like that.
Yeah, and even just to go to one game or even just to say, hey, I'm going to go out and walk around and you're going to see people with face paint from Nigeria and Brazil and you're going to be like, wow, like it's the party comes to your house basically, whether you're at the game or not, that's a bonus, but you're right. And that's just fun. And I think everyone is counting down to a year from now when we get the World Cup here. And it was reminding me of that famous 1994 Upper Deck World Cup set. Yes. Which was really one of the first soccer card products out there. I mean, there was a big lull after that because as everyone here listens to us knows, soccer is big with stickers and Panini is big with stickers, and they still are. But the cards have definitely come into play. And that set, which is still fairly cheap because it was mass produced, it's still kind of fun to look back and see it. And then there's these extra cards they came out, I remember, with these special World Cup captains that included, guys like Gordie Howe and Reggie Jackson, Wayne Gretzky, and Michael Jordan. I mean, so a little bit cross sport. Upper Deck was a little bit ahead of its time back then.
Yeah. Going back to 2 names you mentioned earlier on there, Kylian Mbappe cards about 4 or 5 years ago were absolutely massively huge there for a bit. You mentioned Yamal being there as well, and the kind of the hobby craze over him right now. Which of those would you say is bigger, Yamal now or Mbappe 4 or 5 years ago?
Oof, that's a good question. It's a tough question. I will say Mbappe was big a few years ago because when you win the World Cup as a 17-year-old, that's big.
Right.
And that gets everyone interested. But the hobby, at least the soccer hobby, wasn't where it is today with this big money. So I would say Yamal is bigger now than Mbappe then. But it could be that Mbappe and Yamal are both big now because now there's so much money post-pandemic that I was buying cards in 2017, 2018, soccer cards, triple autographs. I was paying almost nothing. All I kept thinking was I'm competing with Europeans, and Europeans is a very small pool.
Yes.
Now I'm competing with everybody because now everybody's into, soccer is not this weird sport nobody wants to engage with in a hobby. I mean, there is plenty of it. And so, and Topps and Panini have responded with more product. So I'd say Lamine Yamal's bigger now than Mbappe then, but I think they're both big now. And I think my gauge for how big they are will be, at the national, what cards do we see? What are the values? And then you have to look at some of the auction stuff, some of the high end stuff. We're seeing crazy prices, 10, 20, $30,000 for autographs, for numbered cards, for rookie year stuff. Pretty crazy stuff. I mean, pretty amazing to see soccer. And it's not the European market it's pushing it. It's the North American market. It's pushing it.
Meanwhile, I'm still sitting here hoping for a resurgence of those 80s Pacific indoor soccer sets. There's some demand on those, but kind of not seeing that much.
I know people think Pacific probably pays us to mention this set every time we talk. They don't. But for the super nostalgics, that is still sort of the early. We talked about 94 Upper Deck World Cup set. That's nothing compared to those Pacific sets of the late 80s, which I have. And I always say, just to bring things full circle for everybody, those are great TTM fodder because they're fairly cheap. And these guys love to sign. They're getting older in age. So I would definitely mail to these guys. They're not, most of them are still with us. But if you remember indoor soccer from the 80s, I was just thinking about that this morning that recently I was able to get a Rick Davis signed card.
Oh yeah.
And
Hall of Famer.
And yeah, not only was he an indoor guy, but he was a Cosmos player, and these guys are great TTMers. And I think they love the idea that people are still remembering them.
Yes.
Now 40 years later, maybe almost 45 years later. So yeah, indoor soccer kept soccer alive in America for a very long time. And look, if you love hockey and soccer, indoor soccer is amazing. So
yeah, absolutely. And I got to say, I went to a new card store in Arlington, a week or two ago, and they actually had some of those packs of the Pacific soccer cards there. So if there's anybody out there that wants to try these guys TTM, let me know, and I can get you a couple packs or something like that. So just any listeners, keep that in mind for sure.
Yeah, it's funny. There was a place not far from my house that had some old card sets, but a lot of stuff like Goonies and Star Wars cards, still in the packs. I thought, oh, cool. Not my thing, but cool. And then they had an MISL cards. I'm like, oh my, you forget how mass produced it was, but that it still be floating around in packs. It's crazy. I've seen them loose, but not in packs. So yeah, totally fun and very cheap, even on eBay and other places online. And then I think I don't have the math on this, but I have to think that if you're going to mail TTM to any of the sports, your return on investment, your percentage is probably going to be higher with the MISL than probably any league ever.
Yes, absolutely.
Sure. Yeah.
Well, we got about 5 minutes left here before our Zoom time runs out here, but I want to talk real quick here before we get done. Fanatics Fest is upcoming. You mentioned that you're going to be going out to that. So what have you seen about what they're going to be having there this year, and what do you know about it from the previous years they've had it here?
Yeah, so Fanatics Fest year 2. It's in New York City, the Javits Center. So for me, probably the closest big card show I've ever gone to. I just take the subway and I'm there. I don't have to fly anywhere, which is great. And I'll be covering it for Sports Collectors Digest like I did last year. Look, it's a lot of the same stuff from last year, but with some tweaks. I think, I spoke to some of the people that are involved with it for a story that's going to run soon. And the idea was, what we did great last time, let's repeat that, but let's fix some of the mistakes. There were bottlenecks. For example, they were just not used to doing autographs and photo ops, so they moved that to a different floor. And I think they're going to use the main floor for the card show part, and then all these league activations. MLB will have a booth, and Topps, of course, and the NHL, the NBA, the NFL. It's kind of all this stuff. They'll have new booths this year. They're going to have FIFA will have a booth. Obviously, World Cup is a year from now, so FIFA will be there. And you have Dick's Sporting Goods, and you have some other Nike will be there. So you have some other people in the sports areas doing their thing. The card show part will kind of be sprinkled throughout. Last year, the big concern was, you have this really cool fan fest here, and you have this cool card show here, but the two didn't mix. It was kind of like being in two shows in the same building, which was weird. Because if Fanatics' goal is to 10x the hobby and get sports fans to be collectors, you don't do that by segregating them two. You kind of have to commingle them. And they said that people at different booths would give out cards. And so if you go to the MLS booth, for example, and you're a soccer fan, you might get MLS cards there, which is a good idea. They didn't do that last year. There wasn't any of that. And then on top of that, you have a lot of big names who are going to be there doing panel discussions, autographs, Tom Brady, Derek Jeter, LeBron James. Victor Wembanyama. I mean, a lot of current players, which is cool. You know, it's one thing to have Hall of Famers there, but when you have current players, and because of the timing, because it's June, a lot of players could be there. For example, you're going to have some hockey players there, current ones, because there's no season for some of these players, for many of them.
Right.
You know, the Yankees will be home that weekend, so a few Yankee players will be there as well doing autographs. It's 3 days of it's totally gonna be bonkers because it depends. You know, you can't take in the whole show. It's just too much. You have to take in what you like. If you like autographs, that's your thing. Do that. If you like panel discussions, do that. If you like the activations, kids like that stuff mostly. Home run derby, 40-yard dash run, shooting pucks at a washing machine, whatever. Then you could bring the kids to that, and the adults could do that as well. I think it'll be fun. It's a new way to look at a card and collectible show, a new way to get autographs. It's not the national. It's got this other fan fest component. It's interesting. It's only year two. The whole talk of spreading it around the world, around the country, having like a traveling show, that's still sort of on hold. I think it's very expensive to do, and also how do you replicate this massive thing in Pittsburgh and Orlando and in Dallas and in LA and then in London? I mean, it's difficult. And
Yeah.
so I think they're going to do year two in New York and then kind of revisit this traveling component. And then they already hinted to me that there will be a year three in New York. So I think Fanatics Fest every year in New York will happen. Not the same dates because the Javits Center is a big convention center in New York, but they're very prickly. Last year was in August. This year it's before the National. It's in June. Next year, who knows when it will be, right? So that's the thing. They have to kind of pick a date, stick with it like the National, and they have to kind of make it a destination. For now, it feels very much like a New York thing and not like a thing like people would fly to like the National. So I'd be curious to talk about this in the future and just see how it ended up being. I think it'll be fun. I'm excited for it. I know people in my family, my brother-in-law is excited, my daughter's excited for it. I mean, because there's so many opportunities to interact with athletes. I mean, last year, for example, these kids were running the 40-yard dash at the NFL booth, and then Gronk showed up and ran with them. Like that's the kind of thing that could happen, and then one of the most popular booths last year was WWE because WWE personalities are so fan friendly. They've got it down. WWE has figured out how to, and that's not a new thing. They've been engaging with fans for decades, but they've really figured out how to get fans excited about their product. And I think the other leagues are kind of learning from that.
Yeah. It'll be definitely interesting to see what they do there. And I know you're going to be out at the National as well. So, listeners, if you're out at either of those shows, make sure you stop and say hi to Clemente if you see him there. And yeah, we always like, hearing from the listeners anytime we get a chance to.
Yeah, the best way to find me at the Fanatics Fest or the National is just to eavesdrop on people. And if you hear my voice, people all the time are like, "Hey, you're the guy from TTM Cast." I'm like,
Right.
"Yes, I am." And so that's interesting because people might not know my face. People listen to the show, but I've had lots of people at the National in Chantilly, at the Hofstra show in New York. I mean, pick a show. I'm just talking to a dealer and someone says, "Are you the guy from?" They don't even know my name. They're like, "Are you the guy from TTM Cast?" And I'm like, "Yes, I am." But otherwise, if you're gonna you're gonna be there and you want to meet up or something, you can always send me a DM on X,
Yeah.
and we could always find a place to talk and chat. I'm always interested in seeing what people are doing and saying because the best way to know what's happening in the hobby is to engage with people and go to shows and that's the big thing about the hobby is this, we talk about some of the negative stuff obviously, but it's like one big family. You and I met as a result of the hobby. If I wasn't in this hobby, I wouldn't know you, you wouldn't know me, and that'd be one less person I knew in my life. So I think that's the really great part about the hobby. And since I'm only here every quarter with you guys, you know, it'll be less, but more quality, I think. And so another way to really engage with the TTM cast community is also to meet up in person and do stuff in person. The Nationals is really great for that, which is now about 55 days away. Not that I'm counting.
Yeah. So there you go. So yeah, give us a shout out and meet up with us if you ever get a chance to. And Clemente will have you back on again, I think, for our September shows we've got you down for there, so we can get a recap of the National and your experiences there, and of course a preview of soccer and hockey seasons and everything else that's going on right around then.
That'll be perfect. Have a good summer.
You too, and we'll see you around then. Once again, you've been in Clemente's World. A big thanks once again to Clemente Lisi for joining us there in Clemente's World as now we move into Making the Grade.
And now it's time for Making the Grade.
Making the Grade is a summary of all things that go on in the world of grading here in our hobby. We get some great numbers every month from gemrate.com. Aaron, what do the numbers look like here for this month from the big four grading companies?
All right, for the month of May, PSA graded 1.65 million cards, which is up 6%. So a couple ticks there. And then we've got CGC that graded 570,000 cards, which is up a pretty significant clip of 67%. Then we've got SGC, which graded 145,000 cards, which is down 13% from the previous month. And then we have Beckett that graded 59,000, I'll get it right, cards. That is up 3% for a grand total of 2.42 million cards that were graded for the month of May.
It's a nice number there, that 67% with CGC, and we'll talk a little about how that got up there in the Big Three.
This week's Big Three is brought to you by gemrate.com. Whose cards are hot and whose cards are cold this week? Let's find out from our friends at gemrate.com.
Well, the Big Three is exclusive to TTM Cast, courtesy of Gemrate. They give us some info about individual players and their grading numbers and who's up, who's down, all that kind of stuff. And Shohei Ohtani, the big winner of this month, and I think possibly the big all-time winner for a single week or month at any point, as this week or this month, he is up 493%. That is not a typo on here. I looked at that. I'm like, wait, what? And Ryan assured me that, yes, that is correct. But a 493% increase on Shohei Ohtani's cards being graded this month. Macklin Celebrini takes the number 2 spot, 77% increase for him. And Cameron Brink in the number 3 spot. She's up 46% on her cards being graded in the month of May. Well, Shohei Ohtani saw that huge spike due to a bulk order at CGC, which saw over 100,000 copies of his Topps 2024 50-50 cards hitting the population report in May. It's not exactly clear how and when those 100,000 cards will show up in the market, but it's probably safe to assume that this grouping of cards there is not just going to be sitting in some wealthy collector's vault, but probably is some part of a commercial partnership. So keep your eyes out. We'll probably get more info on that one as those cards make it back to whoever got them graded and they figure out what to do with them next there. But that explains the 67% increase for CGC. It explains the 493% increase for Shohei Ohtani. And it's kind of fun to see how all those things work together. And on the other side, Aaron, who do we have moving down on the list right now?
Wow, that's a lot of Ohtanis.
Yes, it is.
Just a few. Okay, and so going the other way, we have everybody's favorite slugger, Jose Canseco, who is down 23% this month. Then we have Detroit Tiger Colt Keith, who is down just a little bit more than that at 24%. And then also falling this week is Ashton Janty, who is down 29%.
So there you go. Big thanks once again to Gemrate, who provides us with all of these great numbers. You can follow them on Twitter and Instagram at Gemrate if you want to get all their daily numbers, weekly numbers, monthly numbers, all that kind of stuff. And if you want to dig even further into the numbers, go and visit their website at gemrate.com. Of course, the Big Three, you'll only find that here. Let's take a look now. Let's move on into this month's TTM Cast Stamp of Approval.
I bet you're wondering who earned this week's TTM Cast Stamp of Approval.
Well, stamp approval is just a chance to give our thumbs up to something, anything from the previous month, whether it's sometimes sports related, sometimes not, sometimes collectibles related, sometimes it's not. It's kind of a chance to say that we're much more rounded than just being a bunch of sports and collectibles geeks, even though, we still are. But I got to give mine to the place that my wife and I went to for my birthday dinner. So my birthday was back in April, but it was NFL draft weekend, and it was impossible for me to, really be able to actually take some time and go out to dinner and all that, because we were super busy that time. And then we completely whiffed on it the next week. So 2 weeks after my birthday, we finally went out to Radici Wood-Fired Grill. They have 2 locations here in the Dallas-Fort Worth area, one of them right over in Grand Prairie next to us. And that is run by Tiffany Derry. She is the chef of that one. She has, I think, a total of like 4 restaurants in and around the Dallas area. And for those who watch the show MasterChef, you'll know that she is one of the judges on MasterChef this season. But we went to Radici Wood-Fired Grill, the newest one of her restaurants. And luckily for us, she actually was working in the kitchen there that night. So really cool to get a meal that had her involved in it there, and it absolutely lived up to what I would have hoped for from one of her restaurants, and even more beyond that. I mean, it was absolutely amazing, and it's a little pricey, but absolutely worth the money. It'll be one of the best meals you'll ever eat in your life. So if you ever happen to be in the Dallas-Fort Worth area and you want a slightly upscale dining experience, Radici Woodfire Grill, I can't recommend it enough. You get this wood-fired Italian food there, and that is my stamp of approval for this week. Arron, what do you got over there on your side?
Nice. Tiffany Dairy, me and my mom watch Tournament of Champions on Food Network. Yes. I don't know if you've seen it, and so she's on that too. So I'll have to go check that out. I'm a big fan of food, as you can tell by looking at me for 10 seconds. And so mine is also food. So it's been a crazy last month, because I told you about trying to finish the season, and we ended up going to state and winning and all that kind of stuff. But then this last week, and so we had all the gymnastic stuff, trying to finish up the semester and all of that. Well, then this last week, I was in Arlington because we had a organizational wide camp down there, and I was contracted to coach and flip a bunch of children for 4 days. And so we got done yesterday. And one of my coaches had never been to a place called Ponchos. I mean, you've been to Ponchos. We've been together. My mom loves Ponchos. So I took him there because he had never been. And the flautas there are fantastic. They are pillowy, and allegedly they are turkey, and so I assume it is turkey, but it's almost like a turkey paste type of thing, and it melts in your mouth. The whole thing is pillowy, and you just take a bite of it and melts it in your mouth, and it's just fantastic. So I don't know if Ponchos are other places, but there are still a few that exist in the DFW area. So make a trip to DFW and then go to Tiffany Dairy's place. Also go to Ponchos. So there you go. We're doing our part to help out the DFW restaurant community, Drew.
Absolutely, yes. I mean that you've got yourself an entire day of meals planned out right there, and I mean, finish it off with there's however many good bakeries around there. There's your dessert to top it all off. So there we go. Yeah. So there you go. If you want some food in the Dallas area, we've got a couple recommendations for you right there. Check those out. Let's move on in now to the Vern Rapp Minutes. The Vern Rapp Minute is dedicated to the memory of Mr. Vern Rapp, former minor league ball player, major league manager. Our show's founder, Jeff Baker, tried to mail off to him for an autograph and did not know that he'd already passed away. And so we provide this as a service to all the collectors out there to let you know anytime that a good TTMer has passed away, whether it's in sports, typically. Once in a while, we'll find some in the world of celebrity, music, movies, politics. But for the most part, focusing on the sports guys, the good TTMers, the card show circuit regulars, anybody like that. And first off, we got to mention we lost this past month Chet Lemon, former outfielder from 1975 to 90. He was with the White Sox and the Tigers. Lemon was a three-time All-Star, winner of 1984 World Series. Across his career, he was a .273 hitter with 215 career home runs. Really battled a lot of health issues late in his life, and the family actually kept a lot of that secret. They really didn't publicize it at all, and I didn't even know about it until kind of late last year when the Detroit Free Press had an article about him and what he'd been battling, and trying to basically say, look, this is why you might not see him at the 1984 Tigers reunion that was coming up. And fortunately for Lemon, he was able to get out there. He's able to see all of his teammates there one more time and fans one more time. And unfortunately died this week after suffering, I think it was like almost 20 strokes in his lifetime there once when all was said and done. Lemon was excellent TTMer through 2004, which is around when his health issues began. He was 70 years old.
We also lost Frank Johnson at the age of 82. He was a throwback utility guy. He played outfield. He played first base and third base from 1966 to 1971 with the San Francisco Giants. His best season was 1970, in which he hit .273 and had 3 home runs that year. He was a good TTMer through this year.
We also lost Rich Rollins this past month, a native of Parma, Ohio. He was a third baseman from 1961 to 1970, played for the Twins, the Seattle Pilots, Milwaukee Brewers, and finished up with the Cleveland Indians. He was an all-star in 1962 and had a season with 10 triples in 1964. His best year in that stat category, I believe, led the league in that, his only league-leading year in any stat at any point. Rollins was a good TTMer through 2023. The Parma native was 86 years old.
We also lost Marshall Edwards, who was an outfielder from 1981 to 1983 with the Milwaukee Brewers, and he was a .258 career hitter with 2 home runs. He was a good TTMer through 2022, and he passed away at the age of 72.
We also lost Jack Curtis in the past month. He was a pitcher from 1961 to 63, played for the Cubs, the Brewers, and the Indians. 14-19 career record with a 4.84 ERA, but finished third in the Rookie of the Year voting in 1961. Jack was a good TTMer through this year. He was 88 years old.
And unfortunately, we lost a lot of outfielders this time. But yeah, so we also lost Horace Speed at the age of 73. He was an outfielder from 1975 to 1979 with the San Francisco Giants and the Cleveland Indians. He was his first and last MLB games were as a pinch runner, and he was a good TTMer through 2024.
Moving into the football world, we lost Dick Lassie this past month. He was a linebacker, played from 1956 to 62 with the Steelers, the Redskins, and the Giants. 1960 was the best season of his career. He had 3 interceptions and a fumble recovery that year. He was a good TTMer through 2022. He was 89 years old, and I just did an article recently for Sports Collectors Daily about great signers over the age of 90, and it is so tough finding football players that are, and Lassie, that are 89, just short of being able to make it onto that list there.
We also lost Bob White at the age of 86. He was a running back for the Houston Oilers in 1960. He played 6 games for the AFL champs that year, and he was a good TTMer through this year.
We also lost Tommy Vigorito. He was a kind of a football utility guy there. He was a running back, a wide receiver, and a kick returner from 1981 to 85 for the Miami Dolphins, and kept those 3 things pretty well balanced because he had 6 career touchdowns. 2 of them were rushing, 2 of them were receiving, and 2 of them were on punt returns. Vigorito was a good TTMer through about 2021 or so. He was 65 years old.
And we also lost Bobby Franklin, who was a defensive back from 1960 to 1966 with the Cleveland Browns. He was a 1964 NFL champion and had 2 interceptions in 1960. He was a good TTMer through 2023, and he passed away at the age of 88.
We lost Randy Crowder this week as well. Defensive lineman from 1974 to 1980, played with the Dolphins and the Buccaneers in that time. 19 career sacks for him, including a career high of 7.5 in 1975. Crowder was a good TTMer through this year. He was 72 years old.
We also lost Colts owner Jim Irsay at the age of 65. He owned the franchise from 1997 to 2025, and he was the GM from 1984 to 1997. He was the youngest GM and owner in NFL history, and he was a good TTMer through 2022.
We also lost Smokey Stover this week. There's a great name right there. He was a linebacker for the old Dallas Texans and Kansas City Chiefs in the AFL. Played for them from 1960 to 1966. 15 career sacks, 7 interceptions, so a nice balance right there between those for him. 2-time AFL champ as well with the Chiefs. Stover was a good TTMer through 2022. He was 86 years old.
And we also lost Ralph Heck at the age of 83. He was a linebacker from 1963 to 1971 with the Philadelphia Eagles, the Atlanta Falcons, and the New York Giants. He had 5 career interceptions, 7.5 sacks, and 1 touchdown, and he was a good TTMer through 2023.
Last one in the football world, we lost Len St. Jean this month. He was 83 years old, defensive end and guard for the Boston and New England Patriots, as they changed their name midway through their early existence there, from 1964 to 1973. He played in the 1966 Pro Bowl his first year as an offensive lineman. He actually had 5 sacks in 2 years playing on the defensive side of the ball before moving to guard. He's a good TTMer through this year, a native of Newberry, Michigan, tiny town in Michigan's Upper Peninsula. He was 83 years old.
Moving to hockey, we lost Bob Lemieux at the age of 80. He was a defenseman from 1967 to 1968 with the Oakland Golden Seals. He played 19 games and had 1 assist, and he was later a coach in the IHL. He was a good TTMer through this year.
Bob Lemieux from Kalamazoo. Lastly, in the hockey world, we lost Frank Caprice this past month. Caprice was a goalie for the Vancouver Canucks from 1982 to 88. He had a career 31, 46, and 11 record, .859 save percentage, and a 4.20 goals against average. For those of you who think that seems pretty high, that was actually kind of on the normal end of things back there in the 1980s. A much higher scoring league back in that time. He did have 1 career shutout. It came in 1984 against the Hartford Whalers. Caprice is a good TTMer through this year. He was 63 years old. Well, if you lost anybody this week or this month, our thoughts are certainly with you as we move in now to our TTM returns.
Was our mailbox full this week? Let's take a look at this week's TTM returns.
Well, it's the main reason why the show exists, why we're here is our TTM returns. And Aaron, I'll let you go first since yours looks kind of light here. So,
yeah. So my apologies. I'm useless this month. It's a good thing Drew picked me up because, I while we did a lot of in-person graphing this last month and a half, I have not received anything through the mail, and so I'm going to go now that our season's over and we're into the summer months. I'm going to be sending out a lot, so I will be less useless next month. I promise.
Quite all right. I mean, mine, I've got quite a few back, but it's still not as much as I had originally hoped that I might have. But I'll get into those in a minute. But I've been trying to resort everything that I have here anything that I've bought in the last couple of years or pulled to get signed and didn't get signed. So I've been resorting those back into everything. And while I've been resorting them back in, I've also been pulling out anybody who is dead and therefore won't be signing much for me. But also going through on sportscollectors.net and finding out, okay, who do I have cards of that are good signers, and go, okay, we'll pull a few cards of this guy. We'll pull a few cards of this guy. And so I have a couple of 3,200 count boxes. One of them is full of, I think it's all the baseball and basketball ones. I've got one right now. It's going to be full of the hockey and football ones as I go through those sports. So hopefully I'll have a lot to write to. I've got enough to send out to about 50 people right now. So I hopefully will be joining you in mailing out a whole bunch here over the next month. And hopefully we'll both have a lot more to talk about. But there you go. So hopefully this is the last week that's kind of light. I mean, next month we might have to do a show that's we're going to have to, it's going to be like a 2-hour-long show with an hour of recapping who we get back, hopefully, if all goes as I hope it might. But just giving a rundown of who I was able to get in here in the month of May. Taking 2 weeks each on these ones, we had Steve Kiefer, former infielder for the mid to late 80s Brewers. He's in a lot of the 1988 stuff. I know he's at least in Donruss, Score, and Tops from that year. Probably the Fleer set as well, if I had to take a guess. I got back Joel Youngblood. He has a $5 fee, but not bad at all. I got his 1983 Fleer card that commemorates him getting hits for 2 different teams in 2 different cities on the same day. So I got that card signed there. $5 fee, like I said, on him. Jack McDowell, I think I had mentioned before on the show, or at the very least in my articles on Sports Collectors Daily, that he not only is signing for $5 a card, but also has been enclosing some of his CDs, because he, of course, is also a musician, along with being a 1993 Cy Young Award winner. And so if you send him a card, $5, short letter, he'll send back a card signed and probably also include at least 1, maybe 2 CDs that are autographed as well, and say, hey, if you want to buy the rest of them, $30, you can get the whole run of them. And I'm thinking I might have to go and do that. So I actually sent him 6 cards and $30. He signed all 6 cards, sent me 2 CDs, and sent a signed small photo as well from his time with the Indians. So super happy to get those ones back. And a nice couple of bonus items right there. I got back John Verhoeven, former pitcher for the Twins back in the early 80s. He took 2 weeks as well. Kurt Rambis, former NBA, I don't want to say star necessarily, but a solid role player there for some really good teams there in the 1980s Lakers squads there. And my fellow glasses-wearing basketballer there, as I chose to go the route of the Horace Grant Rex specs as opposed to the Kurt Rambis horn-rimmed black glasses there, but same idea at least there, but 2 weeks to get him back. Chris Barr, I mentioned getting Matt Barr back a few weeks ago, and so I mailed my duel of him out to his brother Chris, and so I've got that one signed by both of them. That took 2 weeks as well. Clocking in at 3 weeks, we got Craig Elo, former member of the Cleveland Cavaliers, also played with Atlanta and Houston at points in his career. I got back Chris Chandler, former quarterback with about half of the NFL. He, let's see, I know he took the Falcons to a Super Bowl. He also played with the Colts, the Buccaneers, the Cardinals, and probably about like 3 or 4 other teams. Houston, I think, was one of them. Yeah, a couple others in there, but very quick signer there. 3 weeks to get him back. Dave Reed, who is a great penalty-killing forward for the... Okay, let's see here. He was with the Leafs. He was with the Bruins. He spent some time with the Stars and the Avs. Lives up in Canada now, but took only 3 weeks despite the double border crossing there, so very quick response there. Greg Brock, former first baseman for the Brewers and the Dodgers. 3 week response on him. Unfortunately, quick warning for anybody considering writing to him. He will only sign, it appears, 2 items per request now. I sent 4 cards, only got 2 of them back signed, so anybody considering writing to Brock, keep that in mind. Over in the hockey world, taking a little bit longer here, we got Eric Weinrich back, sent to his home address in Maine. Took 5 months on that. Probably would have been faster if I had mailed to the Islanders, where he is currently an assistant coach, but somebody consider he'll at least sign through either place from what I've been seeing there. But if you don't mind taking a while, send it to Maine. If you want it to be quicker, send it to the Islanders. Hall of Famer Bob Greasy took 5 months as well. He's a 1 item per request signer, but he's a Hall of Fame football player who signs for free. I mean, you really can't beat that. Multi-time Super Bowl winners quarterback. Yeah, definitely send to him if you haven't yet. I mean, he takes a little while sometimes, might take up to a year, but you'll get it back at least. Hockey player Bob McGill, former tough guy of the 1980s with the Blackhawks, the Maple Leafs, also the Sharks, the Red Wings, maybe a couple other teams in there. He signed a couple cards for me. I think it's 4 cards actually for me in 6 months. And one that just rolled in this week, former goalie for the Red Wings and maybe a couple other teams in there. Kevin Hodson in the late 90s. He was a backup to Mike Vernon and Chris Osgood. He signed 4 cards for me through his address in Canada. Took 6 months on that. So solid run right there, I think. Pretty decent for the month. I'm pretty happy with what I got back in there. Although I got to say, a lot of them came back early in the month. So I'm sitting there, I'm like, oh God, I'm going to have, it's take me forever to get through these. Then the last 2 weeks kind of lightened up. It's like, all right, that's a little better there. So there you go. Hopefully that helps out some of you. If you want to send to some of those people, you can find all their addresses at sportscollectors.net. And with that, I think that about does it for this week's or this month's show. Aaron, any other thoughts before we go ahead and sign off on this one?
No, it's awesome to be on the show. I enjoyed very much, and so yeah, I'm looking forward to next month, and then the month after that, Troy can help you out, and I'll pop my head in from the road, and we'll get it going. It'll be great.
Absolutely. Big thanks once again to Clemente Lisi for joining us in Clemente's World, to Aaron for sitting in the co-host seat, and for Ruthie Baker doing all of the production work on this one, sending it from our mouths out to your ears. And as Aaron said, next month will be on July 5th. We'll be talking about all things related to the National. And we're going to have Les Wolf on in More from Les. We'll talk about the National with him and things that he would advise checking out there, stuff that he knows that's going on there, and just all of his thoughts, because, I mean, Les is a national mainstay. I mean, as Aaron and I go every 4 years or so, Les is there every year. So you want somebody who knows the stuff about it, he's the guy to have on to talk about that. And so we will be talking to him next month. And so we are wishing you many happy returns, and we'll see you next month here on TTM Cast.
Everyone, be good.